Hello and welcome to the video helping you to run the appointments report in Compass, which will then become useful for the compliance assistant. Starting point would be to log into Compass. If you're not familiar with it, the address is at the top there, compass.scouts.org.uk. If it's the first time that you've used it, you might need to use the links below to register for your account, and it will ask you some personal information. Similarly, if you're not familiar with your username or you need to reset your password, there are links there to help with that as well. For those of you that have got it, you can see my browser remembers who I am, so I can go and log in. You may have a series of messages that pop up when you first come in. I've just switched mine off so that we're not seeing them here. You can see some options along the top. There's only one that's particularly useful for now, but we just run through the different ones that you might see. You might have something called My Scouting, which shows you the hierarchy. You've got one about joining for adding adults and roles. We've got one about adult training. We've got one for reports, and then you've got one for My Profile. My Profile will obviously be where you can update your own details held within Compass. But the one we want here today is reports. So we'll hover over that one and come down to reports. You might notice at the top of the screen you can see a little My Roles box where you can change your role in Compass. So if you've got multiple roles, the reports that you see will depend on which role you've selected. So you can see that my role here gives me quite a few different reports. So the appointments one is the one that we want. If you're not seeing appointments in here and you need to be able to run the compliance assistant, then either you need to have a chat with somebody else in your team who might be able to do it with you, or you might want to ask if you need a role adding to your Compass record to help you do this, depending on what your existing role is. So to run the compliance assistant, what we need from Compass is the appointments report here. You can see it's the second one down for me. A little word of warning, don't be tempted to click any of these exporting options over on the right hand side, because it will give you the default information and settings rather than the ones that you've changed. So whenever we select a report within Compass, just click on the name of it over on the left hand side. It'll then open up the report suite with some options along the top. Depending on which report you're running and how much information Compass is needing to pull together, this little whirring circle may take a few seconds longer than you'd like. You just need to bear with it. I've zoomed in quite a bit on my browser so that we don't see people's personal information on here, and I've got an anonymised version of the data that we'll use as well in later videos. So if you're running this at a county level, you'll see the options for different districts, and you might want to choose either individual ones or select all, as I've got selected there. If you're running this at a district level, you won't see the district option, but you will still see the group option here. And it defaults to selected level only, which would mean that you'd only get district level roles coming out of it. So you always want, well, you probably always want to use select all. You can then filter it back later when we use the assistant, and we'll look at that together in the next video. So we've got select all in there. So those are really only the one or two options that you need. Leave everything else as it is and click on View Report. Because of the amount of information that it's going back and fetching, this can sometimes take a few extra seconds as well. And then the final step we'll have is to export it. Okay, so that's loaded now that that's gone away, and you can see there's quite a few pages of records here. So the export option is in the middle. So this is really because the information needs to be taken out into another program on your computer to be able to make use of. So you can see I get a drop down with lots of different options. You're more than welcome to play around with any of these to give you different formats. Don't be tempted to use the Excel one. It causes a particular problem for people who've got multiple roles. It hides the personal information on all but the top role, so any sorting and filtering becomes really quite problematic with that. there's the main one that we're going to use for all of these videos, which is CSV, comma separated value file. So it's labelled there as CSV, comma delimited, which will open into Excel or your spreadsheet program for you. So that's the one that we want. Just need to give it a little tap. You can see it opened up an extra tab, and then it has loaded in my downloads folder. So that's us running the appointments report from Compass. The next video in the series will be about taking that video and being able to use the compliance assistant.